Baz just pointing his wand at someone and being like, yeet! And then that person gets thrown across the room. It would have been so good. Hi friends, it's Rory, and today I wanted to do a video that was half review, half discussion, and that is about Wayward Son by Rainbow Rowell. Today the discussion is about something that I feel doesn't only pertain to Wayward Son. It's actually an argument that I've had a long time, and that is with the way that people react to things, and kind of the way that people tend to attack others if either they like or don't like the book or the video game or the movie that you're watching. Just so you know, this entire video is has the chance to be spoilery, especially when I get to the review section. So, about is, it seems that when a piece of content comes out, if there are a bunch of flaws in something, then that means it's bad. And if you enjoy that, despite the flaws, then you're a bad person or you're dumb. And I'm gonna go outside of the book realm right now. How to Train Your Dragon 3. When the third movie came out, it was very toxic because a bunch of people decided bad. And whenever anyone would come out and be like, oh, actually, I really liked the movie. Like, for example, I really liked How to Train Your Dragon 3. Those who disliked it would just be like, what? How could you have liked that? It had this wrong with it, and this wrong with it, and this wrong with it, and you're not allowed to like it because it's bad. That's not how opinions work, though. When it comes to deciding if the amount of enjoyment you had over that piece of content is higher than the criticism that you had for that piece of content, then you find it good. Similarly, if the criticism that you had for something is outweighed by the enjoyment you had of it, then that means you think it's bad. And it's perfectly okay to see it either way. It's just when people are attacking each other and saying your opinion is wrong because of this, this, and this, then everything ends up being way more toxic than helpful. Another example, if you couldn't tell by the keyblades behind me, you can't even see all the keyblades that I have behind me. I have even more. I am a fan of Kingdom Hearts, and Kingdom Hearts 3 just came out this past year. Very much the same thing. People were like, Kingdom Hearts 3 was bad. Anyone who was like, oh, well, I liked Kingdom Hearts 3 is just like, what? What do you mean? How could you have liked it? It was bad. The issue isn't so much when you like or dislike something that someone else doesn't. It's that attacking that's going on. No one is going to 100% agree with your opinion because we're all different people. Now, what I mean is I actually reread Carry On before I started Wayward Son, but because of some situations, I ended up starting it late. And because I'm a moron, I went into the Carry On tag on Tumblr, and I saw a lot of this, like people talking about why Wayward Son was bad, and then some people being like, oh, well, I liked it, and then them being like, how could you have liked it? It's bad. And so I, of course, got super duper anxious before I read it, and then when I read it, I ended up really enjoying the book. But then I noticed kind of the opposite effect happening. Like, then anyone who came out and was like, I was kind of disappointed with this, or I thought Wayward Son was bad, they would then be getting attacked. Just like, oh, you're just following on with the train of hating on Wayward Son. I saw someone make a post actually saying how they were going to reread Wayward Son so that they could present their arguments over why it was okay for them to dislike it without being, attacked. And no one should be getting attacked for their opinions because it's not that serious. They're fictional characters. This isn't life or death. When I say it's not that serious, I completely understand why you may feel defensive, especially if the characters really personally you identify with, because I personally really identify with Molly from The Upside of Unrequited by Becky Albertalli. And I have to teach myself not to be defensive of her whenever I see anyone talk bad about that book. But once again, she's a fictional character. She doesn't need to be defended. So the only time that we should be telling other people that it's not okay to like something is when it's damaging, like pedophilia or abuse or something like that, and that behavior that is not okay is not presented as a negative. Tell the people who may not understand that that's not the best thing to be like, hey, just so you know, this is very problematic and here's why. But even then, you shouldn't be attacking those people because no one likes to be yelled at. If someone is yelling at you and telling you you're not allowed to do something, then you end up wanting to do it more. We need to be respectful. Instead of attacking each other and saying, your opinion is wrong, and here's why, just have a civil conversation. Here's what I think would help with this overall is, one, remember it's not that serious. You don't need to be so defensive, and you don't need to be so snappy with your judgment on someone. It's all just an opinion. When you go into a conversation and a discussion where there is a difference of opinion, make sure to continue to be respectful and willing to listen. And number 3, know that in the long run, it's okay to disagree with things. It's okay to like something and know that someone else doesn't. So those are kind of the 3 things that I feel we can do to kind of limit the toxic behavior. And with that done, I'm gonna get into my review on Wayward Son. I thought it was great. To quote the great Bo Burnham, lower your expectations. One thing that I feel was a reason why some people may not have liked this was that we were expecting something completely different, like just expecting a cutesy romantic road trip. And it was those expectations that may have led to more negative feeling. What I liked, first of all, Shepherd. I would die for this man. I would die for him. That's all you need to say. Penny. I loved what happened. She's very much a elitist. And I think she's actually even more of an elitist than Baz is, because, Baz is a rich boy, and he thinks that people who don't have as much magic as he does shouldn't be allowed in Watford, but Baz himself is a magical creature. Penny is very much just like, magic users are the most important people ever. If you don't have magic, you don't deserve to know anything about the magical world. Things like that. Very much elitist. And the fact that she got called out. I really ship Shep and Penny. I'm just gonna say it. I ship them so much. I'm a slut for enemies to friends to lovers. And right now they've done the enemies to friends thing. And let's hope they do the lovers in the 3rd book. Just, also wouldn't it just be like chef's kiss if Penny, after this entire time being such an elitist asshole about being a magic user, just like fell in love with the normal. Love it. Micah is a coward, and I do not agree with the way he did things, but he kind of has a point. Like, I'm not defending him. Like, he definitely should have been up front and been like, yo, I'm breaking up with you. Like, bitch, just say you're breaking up with her. But Micah asks what being in a relationship means to Penny, and she's just like, it means that we love each other and that we've got this part of our lives figured out. And he goes, no, a relationship isn't about the end. It's about being together every step of the way. And he talks about how she's with him so that she can check it off her list. And that's so true. So next, Baz. So Baz is my favorite. And this book was so good for him. This book was definitely more about Baz than Simon. Kind of accepting his vampireness. Thank God. Because Baz is a vampire. That's one of his main character traits. And I know that before it was just like, I'm a mage, I'm not a vampire. But you are though. You are a vampire. And I'm really disappointed that Lamb turned out to be evil, because I really enjoyed their mentor-mentee kind of relationship between him and Baz. Everything that happened in Las Vegas is just 10 out of 10. But along with that, accepting that his vampireness didn't turn into him just like deciding to live as a vampire. It was that acceptance that really brought him to where he was like, yes, I'm a vampire, but I'm also a damn good mage. So good. So good. My baby Simon. First of all, my boy was allowed to be happy for like more than 5 minutes. Can we get an amen? I appreciate that they really kind of is a bunch of people in the first book complained that Simon was bi erasure, and as a bisexual woman, I kind of don't agree. It's okay for him not to know what he is. Like, I also didn't know what I was until 18, and he doesn't really know terms, and he's not really sure what he needs. But in this situation, I don't think it's wrong for him to not call himself bisexual, because he doesn't know what he is. He's still very much working out what he is. And it's okay, because before he wasn't allowed to be himself. He was supposed to be the chosen one, the greatest mage of all time. And now that he's not that, he's dealing with things that are more important than figuring out what his sexuality is. So, but I do like the fact that they kind of like continued on, because in the first one he's like, oh well, does this mean I'm gay? And that was kind of really it. But this one he's like, I don't know what I am. Do I like girls and then also boys? Do I only like girls except I'm bisexual? Do I really like boys and I was only pretending with Agatha? It's so realistic to real life. So my baby is working through PTSD, and I thought it was very realistic. He brings up the mage a couple times, and he'll just be like, oh, the mage said this, and then he'll go, but it doesn't really matter what the mage said because he was evil. And just like, he doesn't want to touch it, sometimes after traumatic things happen, you don't want to touch it, but you can't help to bring it up because it's everything that you used to know. Agatha. This book made me love Agatha. I'm one of those people that really didn't like Agatha in Carry On. She knew what was going on from the very beginning. She was just like, miss me with that bullshit of this cult stuff. And then she got dragged into it anyways. Can I just say I appreciate that after last book where she was a damsel in distress, and also this book where she was also a damsel in distress, she was the one who ended up saving everything. You know what we call that? Growth. So now we're gonna get into the relationship between Simon and Baz. There were so many cute moments between them. Oh my God. We started off with Baz teaching Simon how to drive, and it was the cutest thing I've ever read. I listened to the audiobook at work, and I was just like sitting at my trying not to make any noise. The kiss after the Ren Fair. I don't even know what to say. It just it makes me so happy. It makes me happy. What can I say? It makes me happy. Simon being jealous of Lamb and clarifying that Baz was his boyfriend. My babies, they love each other so much. Just let them love each other. But also, like, make it realistic. Like, actually, but they're bad. These characters are bad at communication. Why did we think that they were going to be able to communicate with each other? No. It's realistic that they don't know how to talk to each other. They just went from hating each other for 8 years to immediately being in a relationship with each other. Why would they talk to one another? They're bad at it. They actually do start to talk to each other in the last chapter, and I really, really loved it. And I cannot wait for more discussion in book 3, Rainbow Rowell. Do not disappoint me. Please let my boys talk to each other. But when Baz was just like, why can't you see that I wouldn't want to be anywhere that you weren't? My soul left my body. Oh my God. Anyways, now that I've been way too dramatic over Simon and Baz, but they love each other, and I can't wait for the 3rd book when they get to love each other even more. So yeah, the last thing I'm gonna talk about for what I liked was the world building. I didn't feel like the world building in Carry On was that great because a lot of it we got in Fangirl. If you haven't read Fangirl, it's a bit just kind of hard to understand Carry On. This one felt completely different, just like the discussions about the magical creatures and the difference between them and the mages, and like the differences between the mages in England and America. I really loved the terms that they brought forward, like speaker and maybes and things like that. So good. The dead zones. The dead zones were my favorite thing because it makes so much sense. There's so many parts of America where there's so few people that of course there's not going to be enough magic there for you to use. Like, it just makes sense. And with that, let me get to the things that I disliked. What do you mean? This book takes place in 2017 and yeet was not used as a spell. What the heck? Yeet. 2017. You mean the time when Vine compilations were at its heyday. You're telling me that it did not become a magical spell in America? A more serious criticism. There were a couple times when the point of view changed so frequently in a chapter that I got whiplash. That happened a little bit in Carry On, but it happened even more here. But it was very confusing, and that's one major criticism I have. Another one is that, yes, there are parts of here that very much slow down, but even then, I didn't really mind them that much because at least they were short, the slow parts. Overall, I really liked the book. If you didn't like the book, please come into my comments. Explain to me why you don't like the book, and we can have a respectful conversation about it. Also, go register to vote. I'm going to include a link to vote down in the description. I stole this from one of my favorite YouTubers, Smokey Glow. At the end of all of her videos, she tells people to go register to vote. And I was like, excellent use of your platform. So I'm going to do it too. So if you haven't registered to vote, go into the description and click on the link. Until then, I hope that you guys have a great rest of your day. Bye!